dry port from Naivasha to Mombasa takes effect, questions are rising on the fate of SGR. Kenya Ports Authority followed the president's decree by removing the requirement for all traders to move the goods via SGR. With SGR debt repayment accounting for the biggest part of Kenya's external loan repayments, what does this mean for SGR? Edwin John Mukora investigates.
In July, Kenya paid the 2 installments that were due for the loan that China gave Kenya for the construction of the SGR. Kenya's forex reserves took a huge debt after the payment of the 30 billion shillings. The loans for the SGR were procured from China Exim Bank for the construction of the 2 phases of the SGR. The 2 loans for the Mombasa-Nairobi phase of the SGR, which stood at 188.6 billion shillings and 235.8 billion respectively, was signed in May 2014 and had a grace period of 7 and 5 years respectively. The third tranche of the loan for the Nairobi-Naivasha section of the 1.5 billion shillings of the 176.8 billion shillings had a grace period of 5 years and was signed in December 2015. With all this money to be paid unconditionally to China, will the country struggle under the new arrangement?
Always solve an economic problem using an economic solution. Never use a political solution to an economic problem. And that's what I'm saying now. If you look at what KP has done, they've actually now allowed economics to do its thing. In the sense that now you can use any port. You can use Naivasha, you can use Nairobi, you can use Mombasa, or any other port of call that you prefer. But what needs to happen, the SGR needs to reduce rates such that they are competitive. So people use SGR out of competitiveness and not out of anything else. And that can be done. So that you make small margins but do large volumes. So to me, I don't see SGR being less viable than it was. I think now all we need to do is to exploit its full potential from an economics perspective.
During Uhuru Kenyatta's government, when the order to transport goods from Mombasa to Naivasha solely through the SGR was put in place, traders complained of being denied the opportunities to choose viable modes of transport and accused the government of capitalism. Economic analysts now say Ruto's government has to find a way to make SGR attractive and competitive to traders without forcing them to onboard.
Number one, even if you are to use that as a strategy, it's not sustainable. You cannot force rates that are out of market for you to do whatever it is that you want to do that revenue. The viable solution, as I said, is to make the rates competitive, and that can be done, and still pay China. Remember, these are terms that are negotiable. If the reality on the ground is different, it's different. You just sit with your creditor and work out new terms, and I don't think that can be a problem. But the idea of forcing income to pay a loan that the project cannot pay from a viability perspective, then it's not sustainable. So the only way is the way it's going, whereby we liberalize it, we allow market forces, but more importantly, we try and define the rate so that people prefer to use it than using road. Because at the end of the day, a businessman is making a financial decision. So we have to appeal to that.
Analysts are adamant that the fate of the promising Naivasha Industrial Park has not yet been condemned by the transfer of the port, with majority arguing that it will still be possible to run both ports in the country.
I think the solution will be anywhere between us getting a competitive rate that can be able to replace the income that it's already receiving, or negotiating that facility to fit what we can collect. It's either of the two. Is the port of Mombasa. All that had happened, we had literally consigned all goods, all clearance to be done from Naivasha. Now that has been liberalized, so you now are free to use the port you want to use. So Naivasha has its competitive advantages. Mombasa has its competitive advantages. Nairobi has its competitive advantages. It is those that we must exploit. So if we have industrial parks in Naivasha, then they will attract traffic for SGR, for bringing the raw materials and for shipping out the finished goods.
As Ruto chairs his first cabinet meeting, the SGR issue weighs heavily on his mind, even as Coastarians celebrate the return of business in the city. Edwin John Mukora, Look Up Business.